day 14 of our 30-day Lara Wellness Challenge, and today's focus is going to be on Yin Yoga. And if you haven't done Yin Yoga is really relaxing because we hold poses for long periods of time. And in a normal Yin Yoga class, you would spend between 3 to 10 minutes in each pose. But today we're going to spend about 1 or 2 minutes, which is still a lot longer than we would normally spend in, say, our dynamic flows and our power yoga. But if, like me, then maybe when you think of yoga, you think of a fast-paced practice. So when I come to the mat, I really like to have a dynamic practice. It comes more easily. And when I'm doing a slower practice like Yin, it actually feels like a bit of a waste of time. But we're trying to get rid of that stereotype or that idea and just relax into the pose because it's really beneficial. It gets into our deep connective tissues and our fascia and just encourages circulation around our joints, so it gets oxygen into our joints a bit more efficiently. So let's make a start. We'll make a start in ragdoll position. So coming to the front of your mat and have your feet hip width apart here, and as you inhale, just raising your arms to the ceiling, stretching out your body as long as you can, reaching towards the sky, fingers wide, and exhale, bending your knees and just folding forwards here. So you can have a deep bend in your knees if your hamstrings are very tight, and just holding onto your opposite elbows. Let your head relax, let your neck relax, and let your shoulders relax here. So you can close your eyes here for our first pose as we begin to settle into our bodies and just find comfort in holding these poses for a bit longer than we would normally. So keeping your breath long, inhaling and exhaling through your nose. And maybe you can do some yeses and some nos with your head, releasing tension from your neck as well. And then trying to find stillness here. So noticing that stretch in your hamstrings and noticing the stretch all the way down your back. And in Yin classes, the teachers normally speak a lot less, just so that you can have a chance to relax and find stillness. So I'm going to try my best to stay quiet for a bit longer. We'll stay here for about 30 more seconds. So maybe your monkey mind is still going and you're thinking about your recent past or your future and what you want to be doing after this class. So again and again, just bring your attention back to your breath, back to this pose, and maybe think about the muscles and the joints that you're stretching and using here. And try and keep the weight equal between your feet and between the front and back of your foot. So if you're leaning very heavily into your heel, just bring your weight forward slightly. Notice if that has an effect on your hamstring stretch. About 10 more seconds here. And let's have one more deep breath here together. Inhaling through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. Good work, everyone. Opening your eyes, bringing your fingers on the floor, and just spreading your feet slightly wider. Come to about mat's width. Your toes facing slightly outwards, heels slightly in, and bringing your hips down, coming straight to Malasana pose, so yogi squat. Now, if your calves are tight or your hamstrings are tight, if your calves are tight or your hips are tight, then place blocks underneath your heels, or maybe you want to place a block underneath your sitting bone. So the use of props is really used in Yin Yoga, so please do use props if necessary. And then just bringing your hands together, pushing your knees out with your elbows. And as you inhale, finding length in your spine. And as you exhale, maybe pushing your knees a bit further out. So you want to try and be as comfortable as possible in these poses because we are holding them for longer. So it's really about dropping your ego, dropping these ideas or expectations that you might hold about what you should look like in each pose, and just paying more attention to what the pose feels like. So you want to feel that stretch in your hips and that length in your spine, and your shoulders relaxed away from your ears. And again, I just encourage you to close your eyes here. It might help you feel the pose a bit more and to stay in your body a bit more rather than in your mind. So we'll stay here for about 30 more seconds. Good work, everyone. Let's stay for 3 more breaths. Breathing at your own pace. Good. And when you finish your last breath, just slowly opening your eyes, bringing your hands down, and just kneeling down. So bringing your knees down, coming into our tabletop, and lifting up onto your knees. So we're going to come to a lizard pose. So I want you to step your left foot forward, and then bringing your hands towards the floor on the inside of your left foot, and stretching your right leg out. Now, because we'll stay in this pose for a bit longer, don't come straight into the most challenging variation. So if you want to stay up here on your thighs, and stay there. And then slowly, as your flexibility or as your hips get a bit looser throughout the pose, then you can bring yourself down onto the floor or maybe down onto your elbows. So start at a variation that suits you and just breathing in. Maybe you want to close your eyes again, feeling that stretch in your right hip flexor as well as your left hip. So if you're doing Yin Yoga for the first time, then it can probably feel quite strange just staying in one pose and not doing anything else. Your mind might be questioning why you're doing this or what's the point of this. So it's just about shutting those questions off, stop analysing, stop judging, and just stay in the pose. Know that this is benefiting your body and it is benefiting your mind by being able to just pause. So maybe you want to get a bit lower into that lizard pose to stretch out your left hip a bit more. And if you want to, you can drop your left knee towards the side, rolling onto the side of your left foot. But you don't have to, this just allows for your left hip to open a bit more. So do what feels good for you. This can feel excruciating for some people, I know. So you don't want to be in any horrible discomfort. You want to find your edge and just stay there. So we'll have about 2 more deep breaths here. And on your next inhale, slowly bringing that knee back to your center line if you've extended it out, and bringing yourself up, stretching out that left hamstring, just shaking out your leg if you need to get the blood flow back. Good, and then we'll move on to the other side. So bending your left leg, stacking your hips on top of your knees, and then bending your right leg forwards. So we're coming to lizard on the right side. Bring your hands down onto the inside of your left foot, stretching your left leg back, untucking your toes, and then choosing your variation. So I would always start in the same variation you started with on the opposite side, just so you're keeping that balance between the sides. And as you inhale, try and find length through your spine, relaxing those shoulders away from your ears. And as you exhale, maybe you can drop your hips a bit lower to the floor, keeping them square. And keep pressing into your right foot. Good, knee is in line with your ankle. And breathing here. And if you want to and you're feeling ready, you can get deeper into your variation, choosing a variation that suits you, experimenting with maybe opening up that right hip, dropping your right knee towards the floor and coming to the side of your right foot. We've got about 20 more seconds here. And if it does feel too intense, then please do come slowly out of the pose. Remember, you can always come into child's pose whenever you need to. And we will be going there next. So if you can, just stay with me for 3 more deep breaths here. Good work. And then on your next inhale, just bringing your knee back to your center line, raising your torso back up and just straightening your right leg. So getting the blood flow back all the way down your right leg. Good, and then bending your right leg, knees come together, hips sit back towards your heels and just resting your forehead towards the floor. Maybe you want to hold onto your hands behind your back, or you can stretch your hands forwards. So we'll stay here for about 3 more deep breaths. Good, 1 more deep breath here. And inhale, slowly raising your head back up. And lying on your back, we're going to come to happy baby pose. So swinging your legs around, lying down on your back, and bending your knees. You want to bring your knees to your armpits, and you can hold the back of your thighs, or maybe holding onto your ankles, or if your hips are open, maybe you can hold onto the soles of your feet from the inside of your legs. So choose a variation that suits you, but try and press your lower back into the floor, and if you can, keeping your ankles in line with your knees. Relaxing those shoulders into the floor and just breathing here. So we've done a lot of hip stretches today, hip openers, mainly because they're my favourite, but also because it's really good to release any tension from your hips if you're feeling anxious or frustrated. They're good poses to do. So let's stay here for about 20 more seconds. And just having your chin slightly towards your chest so that you are finding length in the upper area of your spine. We so often have our chin lifted unnecessarily. So this is just about working on our posture as well. So one more deep breath here. Good, and then just hugging your knees in towards your chest, rocking from side to side. Releasing tension from your lower back. And then we'll come to our last pose. So placing your feet on the floor and bringing both knees towards your left side. Have your arms in cactus arms, so elbows at shoulder height, fingertips facing behind you, and just looking towards your right elbow. Now if you want to deepen this stretch a bit more in your hips or your legs, then you can lift your left foot and place it at the top of your right thigh. This will just help to open your hips a bit more and for you to feel that stretch down your right thigh, your right quad. So as you inhale, you're finding length through your spine, pressing your right shoulder blade into the floor. And as you exhale, maybe you're pressing into your right thigh with your left foot to feel that stretch a bit more in your hips and your glutes. This is also really good for your lower back as well, because we're twisting at the spine. Let's have about 20 more seconds here. And it should feel really relaxing. So if it feels like you can't relax in this pose, then just adjust your position so that it stays completely passive. Really let gravity just bring your knees to one side and your gaze to the other. One more deep breath here. Good, and then inhale, bringing your knees back to center, keeping your arms in cactus arms and dropping your knees to the right side, bringing your gaze towards your left. And you can either stay here with your legs, or maybe you want to place your right foot at the top of your left thigh. Noticing how that makes your left quad feel. And closing your eyes if you haven't already. Just completely relaxing into the pose. We'll stay here for about 10 more seconds. One more deep breath here. And inhale, bringing your knees back to center, hugging your knees in towards your chest again, rocking from side to side, and just lying down in Savasana. So if you do have props, if you have blankets and you want to place them underneath your knees to keep your knees lifted and protecting your lower back, then please do so. Otherwise, just let your ankles roll out, arms by your side, palms to the ceiling, adjusting your shoulders and keeping your eyes closed. So noticing how you're feeling after a yin practice or a short yin practice. And if you enjoy this feeling, then please do some more yin classes. If you had an intention for today's class, and it's just bringing your awareness back to that intention. And you can stay here as long as you need to. But if you're ready to close this class, then on your next inhale, bringing your feet together, stretching your arms above your head. And exhale, hands together in prayer, touching the back of your thumbs to your third eye. And really thanking yourself for taking the time for this practice today and for giving it a go, especially if you're not used to doing a yin practice, or if you don't really normally opt for slow yoga classes. And really good work. Thank you so much, guys. Day 14 complete. Release your hands and slowly open your eyes. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked that video, then you can head over to my Patreon page where I'll be doing weekly yoga and meditation classes. So hopefully see you there, and enjoy the rest of your day.